Now, a proverb that's been bothering me of late, and I'll explain more about that in just a minute or two, is Proverbs 10:15, which simply says, "The wealth of the rich is their fortified city, but poverty is the ruin of the poor." In other words, if you have money, then all things being equal, you'll be able to weather most of life's storms. Whereas if you don't have money, well then, sucks to be you. Now, I just love the imagery of Proverbs 10:15. It's mentally sticky, right? I mean, we can all envision an ancient city high up on a hill, securely surrounded by high, thick walls. Now, ancient cities were built that way for good reason. You just literally never knew when a marauding tribe, an invading army could suddenly appear out of nowhere, just over the horizon. If and when that did happen, well, you would shut the city gates, hunker down, and hope to weather the storm. However, if you were caught outside of those walls, down below, well then, sucks to be you. About a year ago, I came across a video which highlights this very point, albeit with a modern twist to it. It was done by an older, financially successful man who stated that for him, the most important thing about his wealth was the security and the freedom that it brought him. That yes, of course, it was all nice to be able to go out and buy nice things, but the peace of mind that his wealth had brought him, it was priceless. Knowing that even if in hard economic times, if everyone else around him was struggling, he would know that he and his loved ones would be safe. And if things got really bad, well, then he could simply pick up his tent and move to greener pastures. And we can see this happening in real time. To the south of me, those in the US with money are getting out of Dodge. They're fleeing failed US states like New York State or California due to far left policies. Unfortunately, leaving behind those who don't have the financial means to get out of Dodge, who then have to contend with out of control crime, crumbling infrastructure, and failing economies. Which brings me to the aspect of Proverbs 10:15, which I find disturbing. Or perhaps it's better summed up in Proverbs 28:11, which says, "The rich are wise in their own eyes, but the poor and discerning see how deluded they are." In other words, the rich in their fortified cities can so easily become disconnected with how life really works outside of those walls. When they look down piously from the security of their high walls, down at the poor peasants below, and think that they know what's best for them. Just look at those silly peasants down there. They don't know anything. I mean, they haven't been off to college and university like we have. There's no need for them to plow with oxen. Besides, that's cruelty to animals. And over there, they should not be draining that swamp or taking water from that river to irrigate their crops with. That's destroying the environment. And hey, over there, they should not be clearing out that area to plant new crops for themselves. That's destroying the local ecosystem. Those silly peasants, they don't know anything. Sound silly? Over the top, perhaps? Well, consider back in, I think it was 2022, when there were all these demands to defund the police. Who was doing the demanding? Surveys back then noted that over 80% of African Americans did not want the police defunded. Usually, it was wealthy, white, liberal types who lived securely in their posh, gated communities. And sadly, that's just one of many real-life examples today of how the well-off, in the security of their fortified cities high up on the hill, can cause so much misery to those outside down below who don't have to suffer the consequences from their own silly, idealistic nonsense. Now, with all that being said, the main point of Proverbs 10:15 is that money, that wealth is security. That's just a fact of life. So by all means, especially if you're a driven young person just starting out in life, Work hard, be wise with your finances, accumulate wealth, construct your own fortified city high up on the hill so that if trouble comes, you and your loved ones will be safe. All that I ask though is that you remember those outside of your walls. Be generous to them. And don't become so arrogant as to think that you know what's best for them. Thanks for watching.